Hello, everybody. Hello, hello. Oh my goodness. There we go. Got some light on the subject. Hello. Oh my goodness. It is almost Christmas, which is so exciting. And I know it'll be different this year, but I felt led to share a message on what I'm saying. Do it now. Whatever it is, do it now. So where this is coming from, really two quotes that really inspired me, along with some scripture verses that really are in alignment with that. And then all of the energy that's around just launching into a new year. It somewhat is interesting to me because it's not demonstrating real life change or like a core shift in how you're going to show up, right? Are you going to, so for example, just putting a vision of something on a board, I want this relationship, or I want this house, or I want this number in my bank account, all these things, not good, bad, right, or wrong. Cool. But what is a greater determining factor of your success is what you do daily. It really is rooted and grounded in your daily disciplines and your daily decisions. Okay. So that to me is way more important to look at and to start at first before that step, because otherwise you could be building somebody else's vision. You could be living according to somebody else's values and still come up short in the sense that you're unfulfilled, that you've wasted a ton of time and energy and didn't get the outcome that you were truly after, right? So let me see, where did I put, I think I might be sitting on it. I'm sitting on my phone. That's fun. Okay, so let me just break down this message here for you so that it makes sense. So the two quotes are, number one, leadership is taking responsibility while others are making excuses. Leadership is taking responsibility while others are making excuses. So in a lot of ways, if you just do what failures won't do, you'll already find some level of success, which I find interesting. Then also, the greatest day in your life and mine is when we take total responsibility for our attitudes. That's the day we truly grow up. And as a believer, we're here to grow and mature in Christ, right? So an example of this is sometimes in relationships, particularly, people can say, well, you made me feel this way. If you didn't do that, then I wouldn't have whatever. But no other person is in control of how you think, how you speak, how you show up and demonstrate or communicate or express yourself, how you behave. Nobody else but you are responsible for that. And there's a ton of freedom in that also. And you can't be easily manipulated. If somebody can't push your buttons, they also can't manipulate you. So it's not being inhuman, but it's also understanding that there's a lot of work that we need to be doing personally, individually, to manage our thought life, to manage our emotions, to manage what's going on in our heart, to manage our soul, our mind, will, and emotion, and get that to submit to the spirit so that we can truly have the lives that we are after, right? So now the scripture, I believe, says the same thing. Galatians 6:5, for example, for each will have to bear his own load. Nobody is responsible for what is your responsibility. Nobody else is meant to pick up your slack because you're not showing up, right? There's times where we bear each other's burdens and we walk with each other through different seasons. And that's a privilege to be trusted to walk with somebody through really difficult times, right? Think recovery, think addiction, think an unexpected occurrence that you're not, it was no fault of your own, right? It's a privilege to walk with people through those times. And there's like a powerful friendship that's developed that can't happen outside of something like that. But what I'm saying is responsibility. It is nobody else's responsibility to take care of your responsibility. Now, in relationships where you've got a people pleaser and maybe a really great victim or taker, right? That might play out, but that's not what this says. We each have to bear our own. We're not meant to take on other people. And why that's sad, right, is if you don't recognize that, if you don't heal that, if you don't confront it, if you don't deal with it, right, then you're going to miss out on what you're actually here to do because you're handling what somebody else is supposed to be doing. It's a disservice to both people involved. Another one, 1 Timothy 5:8, but if anyone does not provide for his relatives and especially for members of his household, he has denied the faith and is worse than an unbeliever. So what this is saying to me is that God is a God of abundance. God is a God of overflow. God is a God of extravagance. God is resourceful. God is a God of order, right? And if the spirit of the God is on the inside of us, we don't have excuse, right? We might not be where somebody else is, but we have our own path to walk out. And staying stuck is not the option, right? It makes me think of that verse, having done all to stand, right? My God shall supply all of my needs, right? So this is activating faith. This is pursuing God. It's God who gives me the power to get wealth. So it's trusting God. It's working with God. It's co-laboring with God to bring his outcomes into the world. It's not just accepting your lot in life. It's taking back what the enemy has stolen from you, right? And building what's been given to you or working what's in your hand, right? Whatever's in your hand, work it. God can give the increase. Just work what's in your hand. 1 Corinthians 3:8, he who plants and he who waters are one, and each will receive his wages according to his labor. So what we sow, we reap, right? So coming back to the vision board, if you put things on there, you can't just expect to reap it, right? There's work involved to be ready for that, to prepare for that, right? So for example, let's say you've got a guy or a gal on your vision board, right? They've got these traits, they look like this. This is what they would add to my life. Great. And let's say that you get them. And let's say that the goal here is to marry this person. Do you have what it takes to bring something to the table and to sustain a marriage? Because getting a person, if that's even a phrase or if that's how you want to approach it, is one thing. But keeping them or really having a fruitful, healthy, life-giving relationship, something totally different. Work on that, right? And then lastly, Romans 12:6-8, having gifts that differ according to the grace given to us, let us use them. If prophecy, in proportion to our faith. If service, in our serving. The one who teaches, in his teaching. The one who exhorts, in his exhortation. The one who contributes, in generosity. The one who leads, with zeal. The one who does acts of mercy, with cheerfulness. So this is essentially saying, whatever gifts I have given you, whatever I put in your hand, however I've uniquely formed, shaped, and anointed you, work the gift. Like, give your all to that thing, right? That's your responsibility. Nobody else can do that for you. You could have these beautiful gifts and never tap into them. That's super sad. So, what do we do, right? I really believe in living your values. That's what I believe. And living your values is something that you internalize because you got to have a knowledge of what your values are and what those words mean. Then you have to understand, you have to get an understanding of the principles of these values so that you can then internalize them and meditate on them and integrate them into your life and act from them. With me? So for example, I will walk you through my values and then I'll tie into how this do it now message works. So my values, alignment. I don't believe that apart from God, like Jesus, I can do no thing. I can do nothing. I can do no good thing. I can do nothing, right? I've seen that movie before. I see what it looks like when I operate in my own strength, when I lead on my own understanding, when I pretend that I'm all sufficient and I've got it all together, when I'm really falling apart, right? When I try to provide for my own needs, when I just live my life without faith, right? Like I've seen that. And it's God that's literally put breath in me. I'm not doing all this. I had grace in those seasons, right? But I get a choice. And so alignment is huge for me. So seek the kingdom first, abide in me, right? All of those things are so important. Daily bread. It says daily for a reason. So coming to God and building a relationship with God, particularly if I want to be his hands and the feet in the world, it's got to start with alignment. I've got to have a relationship. I've got to have a closeness. I got to be able to study the word, meditate on the word, a prayer life, like quiet time. Those are things that need to constantly be cultivated and developed. in every season and every day, right? Then integrity is huge to me. Huge, right? That my thoughts, my words, my actions are in alignment. So if I say that I'm a woman of faith and I'm living primarily in fear, everything about me is saying that how I'm thinking, how I'm speaking, right? Something's off, right? I wouldn't trust that, right? If I want to be stable, then there's work to be doing to activate my faith, to grow and develop in my faith. I'm not here to be perfect, and I'm not here to please people, right? That gets me in a very unstable path, actually. So integrity is huge. That my word means something. That if I say I'm going to show up, I'm going to show up. And I'll probably be early, right? That if somebody gives me something, if somebody entrusts me with something, I'm going to steward it well. It's a big deal. Passion. I don't believe that if anything is worth doing, that you should do it with anything less than passion. I don't want to live my life bored. I don't want to live my life distracted. I don't want to live my life just watching other people live. I want to be passionately engaged in my life, in everything that I've been given and what I'm inspired to do. I believe in doing it with passion. And these are things like doing the laundry sometimes, or going to the grocery store. Anything, if you bring passion to it, can be a totally new experience, right? And then I believe in creativity. I believe that partner with the Spirit of God, we're all creative, right? God is a God of adventure. I feel like we go on many treasure hunts, meaning there's an inspired action and you take the action and it turns into these wonderful things that you didn't know were possible. And it's just so amazing to be in step with God and to be a part of what he wants to do. So, or he also wants to communicate and express uniquely through you. And so that can change from season to season. For me, sometimes it's look like marketing. Sometimes it's look like writing books. Sometimes it looks like being a really good manager and leader, right? It just can change. But how God creates and expresses, that's creative. And then lastly, connection or relationships. I think those are really important. I don't believe that we're meant to do life alone, and our greatest influence is on not only ourselves, but the people in our sphere of influence. So when you know your values, right? When you know them, you can just say them like that. It's one thing to say a word. It's another thing to know what every single one of those means. And then every single one of those words also has principles connected to it. So if alignment is huge for me, then I'm going to break that down. What does that mean? What does it feel like? What are the principles of alignment? Maybe I'll do studies on the word alignment. Just do different studies in the Word of God on it, right? Maybe I'll read different books on it. Whatever it happens to be, I'm going to grow and develop in that area. Or with integrity. Integrity can come down to leadership. It can come down to boundaries. It can come down to effective communication. It can come down to self-awareness, self-mastery, emotional intelligence, a ton of things, right? Because how can I know if I'm in integrity if I don't know who I am, right? And then passion, right? Studying passionate people or energized people, right? Or people that have done great things in the world. They've got passion, right? So exposing myself to that and seeing what that looks like, and then also being aware of how it expresses through me. Like, what does that look like through me? And so I like to constantly put myself outside of my comfort zone, right? Because it gives me this beginner's mind. It puts me in this new space, and I have to stay present. Usually when we're present, there's passion, usually. To creativity and understanding what that looks like. Sometimes things that I've studied, sometimes that's been through different seasons. God's expressed himself through me, but constantly learning how to nurture and care for creativity and show up for it and really recognize it when it shows up. And then relationships, there's a ton to learn about relationships and personalities and different dysfunctions and recovery and so many things. And so again, knowing my values helps me to then have a knowledge of what they are and then understand the principles, and then I can internalize them and live from them. And so then I'm truly walking out my talk, right? So the values also become my decisions, okay? So decisions being like on a day-to-day basis, if it's not in integrity, if that decision would not be integrity with who I am and where I'm going, it's a no, right? Or if that relationship, I don't care if that person is a good person, if that relationship is going to pull me away from my connection with God, right, and get me involved in activities and things that are not fruitful, I can't spend a lot of times with that person, right? Or if I am in a season of, let's say, writing another book, then I need to prioritize that and know how many words I'm writing every day and how I'm going to show up for it and how I'm going to steward it well, because then I also have to put boundaries around it, right? Like when you're pregnant, you also take care of yourself differently and you prepare differently. With me? So the values and the principles inform my daily decision making, all right? So now the other piece of this, because your do it now mentality, I would like to challenge you to come up with your do it now mentality for 30 days. Literally anytime you're tempted to be like, oh, I'm not in the mood, man, I don't feel like it, I'll get to it tomorrow, whatever, do it now. Do it now. Whatever it is, do it now. Like train yourself to show up and do things now versus constantly being in the habit and practice of talking yourself out of things. Do it now, right? So do it now is actually composed of two things: the daily decisions that we make, and then also the daily disciplines that we show up for. That actually builds momentum for our character. It's a vehicle for our character to ride on, okay? So I will also say, when we don't slow down, when we don't get still, when we don't evaluate what our values are, when we don't assess how we're doing, if we're living according with that, we are robbing ourselves of who we're here to be. And we're cheating our future self out of becoming who he or she can be, okay, by how we're showing up daily. So daily disciplines, these are what I call non-negotiables. It's the standard for my life. Sure, I can talk myself out of it. Sure, I can not show up for it. Nobody's going to punish me, right? Nobody's going to keep me accountable. I'm going to do that, right? But these are things that I'm going to do every day, no matter what, right? And I might have to bend and flex a bit, but I'm going to do them every day, no matter what. So for example, my 5, I call my daily 5. I think I've shared on this before, maybe, but if you're new, I think there's a download below. If not, send me an email and I can share the download. But my daily 5 are: number 1 is daily bread, right? Like I've got to get in the word. How am I going to expect myself to function well if I'm not getting good orderly direction? Just going to say, all right, I'm going to probably, without it, what I'm going to do, I'm going to make my own list. I'm going to do my own thing. It ain't going to be good. All right. At least not for the long term. Number 2 is I'm going to work out and move my body every single day. I shared on my social media today that literally this year, I completed 10 different workout programs from start to finish. That's 345 days of working out of 365 days. Okay. So that's a commitment. Now, that number came from not working out on some Sundays. So I follow Sunday run days. I like to do that. And some days I'm really led just to not work out. But that is very rare. So it's probably actually like 350, probably around there. But anyway, that's working out every day, at least 30 minutes of moving my body every day. And it's really easy for me to do when I'm following a program. I just show up and I push play. I don't have to drive to a gym. I work out at home. I made just like a little garage gym. I didn't know how to do that. I just figured it out. Got what I needed and I just made it happen, right? And then working out 30 minutes a day, pushing play on a workout, showing up for it, doing the workout, done ski. Not a big deal, right? But I'm moving my body and working out every day. Sometimes that looks like going for walks. Sometimes it's running. Sometimes it's, like core exercises and things, but I'm going to move my body for 30 minutes every day for sure. Optimum nutrition. That's another one for me. So I follow portion control. That's something that I've done for a minute. I've trained myself to be able to like spot check food. And now my body can just sense like what's enough to fuel it and to make it feel energized. Like my big distinguisher indicator is when I feel tired after eating. I'm either eating the wrong thing or it's heavy. My body doesn't digest it as well, right? Because usually when I'm eating, I'm energized. I don't get tired, right? It gives me energy to keep doing what I'm here to do. So I eat for energy. I eat close to the source. I am big on supplementing too, because we don't get a lot of nutrition anymore just in our day-to-day. And I always, on a day-to-day basis, I can't always count that I'm going to get nutrition in. So supplementing is really good. drinking a ton of water, avoiding sugar and caffeine, and I don't like dairy, so just keeping away from that. That has worked for me, but nutrition is a big thing, and there's many things that can go into it. But my general rule of thumb, particularly when it comes from daily disciplines, is keeping them super simple and super basic. Number 4 is all about service. So I am going to intentionally live present and engaged in my life so that I'm available for opportunities to serve. And it often looks like, God, where would you have me go? What would you have me say? And to who, right? So that could be at work. That could be the grocery store. That could be running an errand. That could be actually somebody coming on my mind and being led to reach out to them or something, right? But I'm available for it. And then number 5 is gratitude. Gratitude is actually a discipline. I was somebody that really had monkey mind, right? I was constantly in my head and just on to the next, on to the next, on to the next. And it really prevented me from celebrating and being present and grateful for what is. And so I have a daily practice of just gratitude as well, because I believe when you focus on everything that you do have and what's going so well in your life, it has an interesting way of bringing more of those things into your life. So these disciplines every day help me show up, right? You don't just knock out 345 workouts by leaving it at chance. Like I decided that that was going to happen and I committed to it, right? And eating clean, that required me, I went to the grocery store all year. I don't think on a few occasions I ate out, but it was rare, right? I literally made lists and went to the grocery store and worked the list, right? So there was things that I just did to make myself easier. So these disciplines help me really get good at showing up. If I can show up in these simple daily disciplines, that means I can show up in these other areas of my life, because how I do one thing is how I do everything. So do it now is all about the daily disciplines. I am going to do these things every day to take care of me. And then my decisions are going to come from my values. And what I'm presenting is that this is a determining factor of your success far more than just a vision, because you've got to have character to carry out the vision. You've got to be deeply rooted and grounded in order to have the stamina, the strength, the fortitude to withstand the blessing and the things that are brought into your life. It doesn't just happen. It's not random. Just the special people, right? It's not like that at all. It's the people that decide to be disciplined and honor their decisions. Let their decisions honor what they value, right? So my encouragement or my challenge to you would be to come up with a do it now challenge. I recommend 30 days because 30 days of focusing on a new habit usually replaces an old bad habit. So that's kind of my mentality. I'm going to keep building new habits and letting all the bad ones just fall off. I don't need to focus on the bad ones. I don't need to ruminate on them. I don't need to wonder about them. I don't need to give them any more airtime. I just need to focus on what I'm doing, where I'm going, show up for that, and let the old stuff fall off. It's going to happen, right? Think about it. If you put something on the top of your car and you start driving, that thing's going to fly off, right? It's similar. It's similar. When you focus on where you're going and you start putting momentum behind it, your decisions and your disciplines, the other stuff falls off. So that's what I do to really keep it simple. And so just every time your mind wants to take you to a different place, making an excuse, I'm not in the mood, I'm not feeling like it, I'm tired, I'm this, I'm that, or I can just do this, or meh, right? Do it now. Do it now. I'm a person that shows up. I'm a person that is responsible. I'm a person that is changing my life, and I'm going to do it now. Don't wait on somebody else to tell you. Do it now. So that is my encouragement. Don't rob yourself of who you can actually become by not showing up one day at a time and one moment at a time. That is truly where it's at. And build this first. Identify what your values are, maybe what some of the principles of each are, and really assess on a day-to-day basis. And if not day-to-day, at least on a weekly basis, how are you doing with living according to your values? Do your decisions reflect that? Or are you pulling yourself out of alignment by who you surround yourself by, or the decisions that you're making, or what you're eating, or what you're doing, all of that, right? And then your disciplines, what I recommend with this is my last giveaway. What I recommend with disciplines is where you are tempted to fall back, to give yourself permission to play small and to just ease off the gas a little bit and just coddle yourself, kind of, right? And you know this. This is not there's times and places where we do need to be extra good to ourselves, but a lot of times we're not actually taking care of ourselves by not showing up. So check yourself on that. But where you are tempted to usually fall back or make the excuses or whatever, build your disciplines in those areas. So for example, for me, the later it gets in the day, the less likely I am to work out. So if I don't work out before noon, the less likely I am to work out. So my workout's got to be either really early in the morning or in the late morning hours, before noon though, right? Or quiet time. I know because of how I'm wired that if I don't do quiet time in the morning, first thing, I'm not going to get to it because I am so on my own path, right? That I need to make sure that I start my day and keep having breaks in my day, disciplined pauses to keep checking back in. Otherwise, I'm going to run the show. And that ain't going to be how it's going to work, right? So hopefully that helps you as far as like how to structure it. Don't buy the things that are going to give you an excuse to cheat or to fall back or to fall out of integrity with yourself. There's nothing worse than feeling like you can't even keep a promise with yourself. That sucks, right? It just makes you feel insecure. It tears down your confidence and you don't build momentum from that. You literally fall back. So think about all the things. What can I do to make me stronger? What can I do to develop my mind? What can I read? What can I study? What can I learn? What can I apply? Don't just consume. What can I create? What is going to be different about how I show up? I don't need a bunch of just images. That would be nice. Social media does a great job of that. But how can I actually feel like I'm a changed human, like I grew, like I became a better version of myself? Like, that's the testimony I want. I don't want just more stuff and images and things, right? That can all be bonus. I want the character. I want the impact. I want the relationships, right? I want the true, powerful, spirit-led influence that I'm here to have. That doesn't come from distraction. That doesn't come from excuses. That doesn't come from putting your responsibility on somebody else. It doesn't come from slacking on your leadership, right? It comes from rising in all these areas and building a life around your values to make that easier. When you have a structure, you have a better sense of how to show up in it. The structure is the vision, right? The structure is the vision, and then you create space for God to show up. Okay? Oh my goodness, guys, this is such a powerful word. I hope that that you'll absorb it, that you'll apply it, that you'll really see the value in this and really assess ongoing who you get to become, what you get to achieve because you are committed to living this way. Daily disciplines and decisions, they add up. There's a compounded effect. All right. If you haven't yet, guys, make sure that you subscribe to the channel so you can get more teaching, more uplifting videos like this that can help you on your own path, just giving you practical wisdom that you can integrate too. So make sure you do that. You can also copy the link and share it with a friend if you know somebody that needs to hear this message. Subliminally, just shoot them a text, drop them the link. And what else? You can also connect with me. I'm going to put a bunch of links and things down here. JulianaPage.com is where you can find a lot of that information if you're interested in working together or courses, books, all of the things. So you can go check that out. All right, guys. I think that's all I got. All right. Until next time, stay blessed.